What's up, grinders? Welcome back to the channel. So a day ago I dropped this video, should you be doing more input or flashcards, where I reacted to another creator. If you have a look right here, I'll just pull him up. Here he is. Okay, and we already have a counter reaction. Literally, it just dropped 3 hours ago. This is the best immersion to flashcard ratio. Now, I haven't watched the video, but you can see I'm in the thumbnail there with the little Esperanto flag going on. And it's an AI-generated angry version of me because it's giving me that uncanny valley type of feeling looking at it. Like, the dude has more hair than I got. Like, what's going on there? Anyway, let's watch this video.
All right, so a couple of YouTubers have reacted to a recent video that I made.
Okay, I'm going to speed it up a little bit just so we're not here all day. Boom.
Which was on the optimal immersion to flashcard ratio. And with that, there's a couple things that I want to clarify, because right off the bat, I just want to say I made a mistake of assuming that most people who watch that video are very familiar with my thoughts and my ideas relating to language learning in general. And so they kind of knew the framework that I was coming from with this one. But that was a dumb mistake, right? Because most people who watched that video had no idea what I was talking about. And so I'm going to clarify the framework.
This is so true. I often assume you guys know things based on, referencing previous videos. That's why I always now just go and literally point at previous videos in my videos, or keep re-clarifying what is certain things such as ALG, because you'd be surprised. Like, literally every day there's people rocking up on this channel. They're like, what's going on over here? What can you learn Mandarin? Bro, I'm already learning it. Oh, I didn't know that. It's obviously lots of people, they don't watch everything
right now. So in my sort of model of language learning and what I talk about on this channel, there's three main types of interactions with the language, right? Number one is your study time. And that's really all I was talking about in that video. I basically said that with your study time with the language, the time that you have dedicated to study, most of that time should be spent with flashcards. And for the most part, I stand by that statement. I still believe that that's correct. However, it leaves out a pretty important context, which is two other important times that you spend with the language. The second type of time that you spend with the language is listening immersion. Now, in the past, I also made a mistake of calling this listening immersion passive listening. I called it passive listening because that's a very already established term in the language learning community. And so I thought by calling it that, people will kind of understand it because it's very familiar. But in reality, what I'm talking about when I say listening immersion is very different from passive listening, because...
Okay, I reacted to that video as well, and I was very confused about the active versus passive way you were using the terminology there. Yeah, no, passive listening has a very specific meaning. It is, you've got it playing there in the background, you're not focused on it, while active is you're sitting down, boom, you're engaged. That's what you're doing. Then again, active could also be in instances, let's say you're mowing the grass and you're listening to a podcast, and you're literally, that's where 90% of your mental energy is. Now, obviously there's a little bit of a mix between what is passive and what is active, but that was a bit confusing in that previous video as well.
And to view it as you're not really paying much attention. It's kind of just going on in the background, and you're basically paying 10% attention here and there. But in reality, what I was kind of trying to preach was that you should do passive listening, but actually pay attention, which by definition isn't really passive listening. So
yes, that's active. That's active.
I've stopped calling it passive listening, and I now call it just listening immersion. And whenever I say listening immersion, I basically just mean multitasking, right? So you're doing the dishes and you're listening to the language. You're driving and you're listening to the language. You are at work, walking around, doing some kind of you're stocking shelves and you're listening.
So obviously, if I was to define this, it would really depend on how much mental energy you're directed at actually listening to the language. Because I personally believe passive listening has some benefits, but very, very little. The downside of passive listening is it makes you feel like you've done a lot in the day when realistically you have not done much. That's why I'm more of all on board for active listening, and then just kind of not really doing too much passive listening.
To the language, things like that, right? Where basically you're not going to be able to pay 100% attention, but you can get pretty darn close and you can get really good results. And
in that case, I would call that more active.
Gotten really good results from that myself. I've gotten a ton of really high quality comprehensible input from just simply doing something like stocking shelves for an hour while listening to my target language, right? And I always go over ways you can optimize this process even further of okay, re-listening to shows that you've previously sentence mined from. Now it's much easier for you to pay attention, or re-listening to a show that you've seen before in English, but now you're listening to your target language dub of it, right? So you can follow it along. And even if you zone out for a couple minutes, when you zone back in, you have something to kind of grasp and cling on to where when you zone in, you're just locked in again, right?
Yep, perfectly valid technique. Definitely, you can do that 100%.
There's a lot of different techniques you can use to really optimize this process and get really good results from it. And the entire reason why I made this YouTube channel was to help busy adults get fluent in their second language, right? And so that's kind of what I did, right? Because the entire time I was studying Vietnamese, I had a full-time management job. And on top of that, I was going to college and working on at first a bachelor's degree, then eventually a master's degree. And so for the 3 years of time that I really spent learning Vietnamese, 99% of that 3 years, I was locked into school and full-time school and full-time work. And so listening immersion was just an absolute necessity at that point. And that's why I tend to place a lot more emphasis on listening immersion than most other YouTubers, because a lot of them kind of they address a general audience, and that general audience tends.
Yeah, so I'll be honest, like based on the few videos I have seen of yours, Jemima, my takeaway was that you were massively on the Anki side of things and very little on the listening side of things. Now, obviously that's my own fault for not watching all your content, but that was the perception I got when I watched your video. But I guess my video now will help correct that for my audience, so they know what type of person you really are.
To have a lot of people who can spend like 3 or 4 hours a day just sitting down and watching content. But in reality, if you only have 1 hour that you're able to allocate to like studying the language, you're going to have to rely a lot on listening immersion, right? Because the average adult is going to spend like an hour a day commuting and an hour a day cooking, doing chores, and cleaning.
An hour a day commuting, man. Those were good times when it was only an hour a day. Actually, I work online now, so my life is way better. However, when I was going to an office, it was by default was, an hour and a half there, hour and a half back. Always, no matter what job I was at. I always got jobs so far from home. Fucking hell. I'm so glad I'm working online now and I can like demand that.
Etc. And if you really dedicate those 2 hours to getting as much decent focused listening immersion as possible, that's actually a lot of immersion when you think about it. And so now you kind of like get where I'm coming from a little bit more here, where like if you have like this one precious hour to spend studying the language and you spend all of that time watching content, well, you're basically already spending a bunch of time listening to content anyways outside of that hour. So it's best to use that hour to really push your language forward as quickly as possible with flashcards. And then the third type of time that you can spend with the language is leisure time, right? And this is basically just watching content with like zero like actual intention of improving your language ability. This is just like enjoying content in your target language. And I actually recommend, especially like if you're like a super busy person, to try to eliminate as much English entertainment as possible and replace it entirely with target language entertainment. So for example, me, I'm studying Japanese right now. And so I don't really consider me sitting down and watching anime for 20 minutes.
What's your Japanese level? You must let me know.
To be language study, because there's no subtitle. I'm literally just simply enjoying the show for 20 minutes before bed and like unwinding and enjoying myself. Calling that study for me kind of just sounds weird. And also in a sense, I feel like it creates this mental framework that is counterintuitive to the result that you're trying to achieve.
Hey, do any of you guys ever have this issue? I've got this specific issue, okay? Let's say there's a TV show that I want to watch. Now, I have 2 options. I can watch it in English, or I could watch it in, let's say, Spanish. Now, I want to save it and watch it in Spanish so that I can, get benefit out of it. But at the same time, I'm not going to get all the nuance and details yet. So I want to watch it in English. But if I watch it in English, I don't want to rewatch it again in Spanish. So I kind of just sit there staring at this TV show that I really, really want to watch, but I just don't watch it because like I can't make a decision. And I'm like, I'll just wait until my Spanish is better. But it's such an annoying thing at the moment because like there's so many TV shows where I'll get like, I don't know, 80% of what's going on in Spanish, but I really, really want that nuance. And therefore I'm like, I should watch in English, but then I will not come back to it in Spanish. And that's wasted time. I could be studying. Evildea, what are you doing?
I literally want to relax in my target language. I think that the skill of being able to turn your brain off and completely relax in your target language and just let it wash over you, tolerate the ambiguity, and just kind of enjoy the content for what it is a super important skill that's essential in preventing burnout. And even though we're not calling it study for the aforementioned
so he's literally talking about what I was just talking about then and saying that I just need to accept it and stop being a bitch.
Reasons, it still is like genuinely essential for your improvement. And that's why I categorize it in these 3 ways. And so now when you really take into context the full picture of my framework, now it makes sense why I'm saying to, if you have an hour of active time with the language, you should spend the majority of that with flashcards. And I did mention that in the video, but I kind of mentioned it in a very offhand way that wasn't very easy to understand. And so that was like my biggest mistake with that video, is I didn't clarify my framework. Because with that video, I kind of just had a little bit of a spark of an idea and I did not develop it properly in my head. I literally just had
This is just something you kind of learn as a YouTuber as you go along, is that every time you start a video, you need to 1, entertain your current audience and provide them with new insights, while 2, providing enough information for new viewers who land on your video to understand the context of what's going on. And sometimes you just got to go, you know what? This video is for my current audience. If new viewers land here, they're just not going to understand. They're probably just going to click away and not sub anyway. But, that's just the how the game works. Sometimes it's just like, well, this is just for you guys. You come in, you watch. For anyone who's new and lands on this specific video, this is the first video they've ever seen of my channel. And if you are one of those people, let me know down in the comment section so I can say hi. You're probably going to be very confused about this conversation right now because you have not seen the previous react or his previous video. This is more like just for current viewers. So it is what it is, but you got to be careful in what you say because people will take it out of context.
kind of like a video.
Not that's what I was trying to do, but like literally that's how it seemed in that video.
Title idea, and then I just turned on the camera and just started yapping. No script, nothing. Just literally just 10 minutes of pure yapping. And as soon as I saw like the thumbnail of Jared reacting to that video, dude, I immediately facepalmed. I was like, bro, I'm cooked, bro. Like, and then as soon as I saw Evildea, I was like, oh no, I'm cooked. Because
I got you, boy. Don't you mess up. I'll find you.
because like I knew that like those like Evildea has reacted to multiple of my videos, and it's so ridiculous because every single video I think that he has ever reacted to is one of my off videos where I just turn on the camera and just start yapping for 10 minutes.
Yeah, I always go for the worst ones. That happens a lot when I react to random channels. People are like, why'd you react to that one video? I got like 5 others that are so much better. And I'm like, the thumbnail got me.
Normally, I actually like, for my average video, if you actually look on my channel and watch most of my videos, what I do is I have a thought, right? Like I have a concept that I think that if people apply or if they think about, it will help them in their language learning journey, right? Specifically from the perspective of like a busy adult. And so I let the concept marinate in my brain for multiple days. I take notes on it, and then I sit down for like 1 or 2 hours and I write an entire script and sometimes even an entire presentation on the topic where I really order my thoughts and organize them in a very logical way that I think really makes sense.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend I'm that organized when it comes to like making videos. I am the type of person who'll sit down just straight up, hardcore, react to a video, like no watching it beforehand. And in fact, I get that comment all the time. People are like, oh, Evildea, you got to let their thoughts come out before you interject, man. Like you're creating a scenario in which you're saying something what they're not saying and making it look like, and I'm like, well, this is a react, and the reaction, in the comment is always, well, why don't you watch it beforehand? Then it wouldn't be a react. And I only have time to do reacts. If you want my original content, that's what the 50-hour updates are for, the investigations that I do, or just the random ones where I do sit down and I spill my thoughts on certain things. But if you come to a react video, you're getting a react.
And then I go and I record the video and I edit everything down really nice. And nobody has ever reacted to those videos, right? But then the videos where I have like a title that comes to my mind and then I just yap, I usually end up saying something that outside of the general, more broad context of my language learning philosophy sounds a little bit off, and then people clip that and send it to those other...
Yeah, it's because you clickbaited me, bro. You clickbaited me. You clickbaited me into doing another reaction. You used my face. I will find you.
YouTubers, and then, they get, the react content. And again, I'm not throwing any shade at these YouTubers. I honestly...
Throw the shade, bro. Let's do this. Let's have a war online. Just a slop war. Nah, I'm joking. Let's not do that.
I was thinking about it the past couple days. I'm actually super grateful that I have people that are reacting to my videos, and I have people that are watching my content vigilantly and clipping anything I say that like kind of sounds crazy, because it honestly keeps me honest and it keeps me on top of my game, right? Like one of the lessons I've learned over these past couple days is that at this point, like even though my channel is very small, I do actually have a lot of responsibility because people genuinely take what I say seriously and they try to apply it within their routine in their daily life. And that works perfectly when I have these like ideas that I've developed very logically and methodically. But then when I just yap and I potentially like don't give full context.
I do appreciate that he's acknowledged that video was a bit problematic, and he's thankful to the reactions and stuff. Like, this makes me as a viewer and a reactor so much more willing to come down and watch his videos in the future. Like, there's been so many videos where I've reacted to someone and like 90% of my video is positive, and then there's like 10% where I'm just like, I don't agree. It's not even negative. It's literally, I just don't agree about one thing. And then I'll say, good videos down in the description, go watch it. And then the creator will come to my channel and they'll just have like a hissy fit down in the comment section. And I go over to the channel, I'm like, bro, that video I reacted to now has a ton more views because of me. You got a ton more subs. And you're bitching and moaning about this? It's even worse when you get the ones who try to copyright you. Still can't believe that girl who did the Persian challenge freaking copyrighted me like a year later. Editor, please put that one up there. If you guys have not seen that series, that one's epic.
Then it leaves room for people to misunderstand me and potentially implement something that I don't even agree with. And so I'm really happy that I'm able to like kind of learn and grow from this experience. And so I now know like I shouldn't just assume that people know what I'm talking about, and I should always like reintroduce the full context of all the ideas to make sure that people have an accurate understanding. And honestly, if I'm going to turn on the camera and yap, I probably shouldn't be giving actionable advice unless I've really thought about it deeply like I usually do. And I should...
I wouldn't stress over this too much. It's a learning process. Like, I've said shit on this channel that people have clipped everywhere. Left, right, and center.
Probably just save those like turn on the camera and yap videos for just talking about my personal experiences. So yeah, I'm still like super early on in my journey of becoming like the best educational content creator I could possibly be. So I'm really like...
Now, I will say, I am 8 minutes into this. This is a 31-minute long video. What's going on in here? Oh, we got like full-on reacts happening. Oh, okay. I was about to jump ahead. Okay. Smart boy. You added it in a bit further in, so you made me stick around for longer. I was prepared to drop off at this point.
Like grateful to have learned these lessons early on. But going back to like the kind of framework that I introduced in the beginning of the video, the reason why I have such a distinction between those three different types of time that you spend with a language is because I found that by separating it like into hard categories like that, it really resonates with people who are like genuinely busy. Because when I thought of like everything,
I don't see any issue with separating it like that. Seems perfectly fine to me. It's kind of smart in some ways to say this will be the time where you just enjoy the language. You will not try to study or do anything like that. Because there is instances where I'll sit down and try to enjoy something and I'm like, could be sentence mining this right now. Oh man, that was a really good sentence. Oh, I should have caught that one. Oh, what is that verb? I need to go look up that verb. Like, I do that. So there's like, if I had like a set hour where I'm like, nah, this is just enjoyment time, maybe it would work better.
As study time, I burnt out because I didn't have periods where I say, this is not study time. This is me just genuinely enjoying the language and winding down. And same thing with like listening immersion. I find that by separating it and making this distinction between, okay, your study time, your leisure time, and then here's like your listening immersion time, I found that it really tends to click with people and it really makes people take it more seriously because it's part of like a 3-layered approach rather than just something like, oh, I throw on a podcast for 5 minutes a day. No. Like if people actually take it as like this really important pillar of their language learning, I feel like, especially again for busy people, they just make progress so much faster. So to kind of like put a bow on this whole thing and kind of update my official stance on this topic, the majority of your time spent with the language per day period is obviously going to be more immersion than flashcards. But the majority of the time that you spend where you mark a period on your calendar and you say, for these 2 hours is my language study time, I think the majority of that time should be spent grinding. It doesn't have to necessarily be flashcards. It kind of depends on like what phase of language learning you're at. And there's a lot of nuance that I didn't cover in that video, but like in general, flashcards is a great way to start, especially if you're in that like early stage where you really need to grow your vocabulary. However, if you're more intermediate, it could be 30 minutes spent shadowing, 30 minutes spent flashcards, 30 minutes spent in a tutoring session, and then the last 30 minutes is spent like watching content and stuff like that.
Okay, sounds good. Good recommendations. No problem with that at all.
All I'm trying to say is that the majority of your active time probably should not be spent watching content because you have your...
Unless you're an ALG learner, then all your time is spent watching content.
Listening immersion time and your leisure time to get tons of content in. So for the rest of the video, I kind of wanted to like watch their videos and kind of like address a couple of things that they said.
To immersion ratio for fluency by Jeremiah. Oh, is this my full video? God damn. No, it looks like, okay. Okay, we'll watch a little bit. I'll put a link down in the description if you want to watch his reaction. Language
Jeremiah, huh?
ideas. Bro, I suck at names. I'm sorry. Your name is going to be Jeremiah, okay? Just live with it. Live with it, okay? Everyone down in the comments section, he's Jeremiah, okay? I have had a few YouTubers, I'm not going to drop names, who get absolutely pissed that I don't get their names right. I'm just bad at names. And I will be bad at names. I'm not going to make an Anki deck of fucking YouTube polyglot names so I can get them right. Okay?
Bro, he spelled my name wrong, bro.
Hey, I found your channel though, didn't I? It worked! Okay, hello Jemima, I know you-
Jemima.
You're Jemima now. I don't care. You're Jemima. This is the thing. Look, to be fair, people get my name wrong all the time. We've got Spanish Boost Gaming out here calling me fucking Larry, and that name is stuck in the Spanish community because of him. I'm Larry. Time that you spend actually to build out those flashcards and then to review them, you're going to get a lot out of that. You will.
So like he mentions a lot in the video, like the time it takes you to create flashcards. I didn't mention this in my video, but I recommend using Migaku, which is like a software online that I use all the time. I'm not sponsored by them, but I literally use it every single day for my language learning. And with that, you literally get audio flashcards or reading, like whatever flashcards you...
They wanted to be a sponsor for my channel, and I asked them, oh yeah, what do I get in return type of thing? And they're like, oh, you can use the affiliate links. Fucking affiliate links, bro? Nah, I'm not gonna, like, that's the only thing they were offering in return. If you want to go use Migaku, I don't care. Like, there's tons of people in my Discord who use it and stuff, but I'm not going to be a sponsor for them for just affiliate links.
could possibly want. You can create them with a single click of a button, like literally instantly.
Like literally, they just got some free advertising from me then. So congratulations, Migaku, you win.
So I never factor in time it takes to create flashcards because it literally, I just do it with one single click and it automatically clips the audio, makes a picture, makes the entire card for me. So I don't even worry about that. So that's like a non-factor for me.
I go through periods where I up the number and I'm like, bro, just chill the fuck out, pull it back down, get realistic, and then I pull it back down.
Yeah, I do the same thing. So like one thing I also didn't mention in that video is that like, I think that with language learning, it's really beneficial to go through like different seasons of growth where you focus on different elements. I talk about this a lot on my channel, which is I always just assume that people watch every single one of my videos because I make every single one of my videos. And so sometimes I have trouble repeating myself because I don't want to come off as like repetitive, but I have to remember that like most people who watch my channel will literally just watch.
Yeah, it's hard to be both creative and also keep the same ideas going without people going, bro, you've said this like 6 or 7 times. Like that's the hard part of being a YouTuber. That and being entertaining.
One video and then never watch me again. Or they'll just watch like one video like once a month or something like that. And so if I don't repeat myself, it's actually more of a liability. But basically, I recommend this process that I call variable isolation. We basically spend one kind of season, it could be a month, could be a couple weeks, could be multiple months, of focusing on one major deficiency in your language. And in my experience, I found that like most people, specifically people who are at the upper beginner to like very low intermediate level, like I'm talking like A2, low B1 kind of level, those people, their main deficiency in the language tends to just be a lack of vocabulary. And so that's why, like, when I make videos, I often just recommend come from the perspective of like, okay, I'm assuming that you need to grow your vocabulary, and that's probably the thing that's holding most people back. And so in that case, it's totally worth going through like a season where you're doing like 20, 30 Anki cards every single day, and you're kind of piling up those reviews. I do this all the time. But then what happens, of course, is you get tired of it eventually, right? Like I literally, this is so funny that I'm making this video right now, because literally last week I went through this with Japanese, where I was literally doing 30 to 40 cards every single day for about 2 months, right? 2 months, every single day. I was doing all these reviews and everything. And then I finally, like, I went like 1 or 2 days without doing my reviews. And it got to the point where I literally had like almost 1,000 reviews just piled up. And I just said, nope, I'm done. And I just deleted the decks. And people, it's so funny because like people sometimes say that I focus too much on flashcards. And then when I say that I delete decks all the time, people start tripping, dude. They're like, but how could you delete your deck?
Yeah, no, I get the exact same thing. People are like, bro, how could you, that's like destroying the library of Alexandria. You could have uploaded that shit. And I'm like, no, I don't recommend that people download decks, so I'm not going to upload my own. It's that simple.
No. It's kind of like what Jared said in his video, which I'm about to get into, but the main goal is not to grow and nurture an Anki deck. The main goal is to grow and nurture your language ability, right? And so if the deck gets to the point where it's starting to cause you burnout or anxiety, or you start to get frustrated, just delete the deck. That's one of my biggest hot takes as well. Like deleting Anki decks.
That's not a hot take. Well, maybe it is, but like I've said that so many times.
It's cool. You should do it if it's going to help you out, right? Because I could have grinded those hundreds and hundreds of reviews, right? But at the end of the day, like half of those reviews are words that I already had down anyways, right? Like I would benefit nothing from doing the review, honestly, like at that point. Because once you like really grind a card for like a couple months and it gets to the point where you only have to review it once every couple months, especially if you're my level in Japanese, which is like beginner level pretty much, right? Like barely entering.
Okay, now we know his Japanese level. I was ready to run a full investigation.
Like what you'd consider like intermediate comprehension, still a beginner in Japanese, right? Like once you get to that point, then the words just appear so frequently in your immersion that you don't even need the flashcard to begin with once you already kind of know it, right? Like doing the review 2 months later is going to do nothing, right? So I recommend just deleting the deck. So that's what I do. This is how I learn languages. I go through an extreme period of vocab acquisition where I learn like hundreds of words in just a small time frame. And then I kind of delete the deck and I go through another period of like, okay, maybe now I'm focused on listening. And so I turn off subtitles and I only listen. And now all those words that I learned over the past couple months with the SRS are really getting reinforced and boom. Or I'll go through a period where now I'm focused on speaking. And so now I'm actually learning how to speak all of those words that I just studied, right? And now they're
So it sounds like his process, it's not exactly what I do, but like all of these recommendations are things I've spoken about, and I agree with all of them. So we went from extreme Anki, like this is my assumption about him, extreme Anki user, hardcore, back to just someone that's completely normal.
getting like reinforced double, and they're getting taken from passive vocabulary to active vocabulary, right? So that's something I do all the time that I forgot to mention in that video, because again, it was just a yapping video.
Okay, cool. So I'm not going to do the full-on react. If you do want to watch his thoughts, especially on Jared and a few more on myself, I guess, there will be a link down in the description. And also that, helps make some of you guys go over there and check out their channels. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I'll see you all in the next video. And if you're not there, well, I'm going to clip you out of context and send the photos to your friends.